Carthage, the rich trading city which has dominated the Western Mediterranean for centuries, has enjoyed relative peace for a long time. However, that peace was about to be interrupted soon. The trouble started when the Romans began assembling an army in Sicily near Messana, with the intent of attacking Lilybaeum. Carthage did not anticipate an attack on this front and had previously pulled the army that was stationed near the city back to Africa. Rome declared war on Carthage in late 261 BC. The Roman army stationed in Sicily advanced unopposed into Carthaginian territory, and by 260 BC arrived near Lilybaeum and put the city under siege. The situation got worse when news came that a large Spanish army was approaching Cordoba. By 259 BC, Cordoba came under siege. Meanwhile, in Sicily, after a one-year siege, the Romans attempted an assault on the city, but failed against a garrison of 3,000 infantry, 3,000 skirmishers, and 250 elite cavalry, losing 2,700 infantry in the process, and retreating back into their territory to recover. Cordoba, on the other hand, did not have the same fortune, as the Spanish army was much larger and the Carthaginian garrison was too small and made up entirely of cavalry. By 258 BC, the city fell. The Spanish lost 1,800 infantry, 1,600 skirmishers, and 500 cavalry during the assault. Things would only get worse for Carthage, as Rome launched a two-pronged attack against it. One army made up of 4,500 men was sent to take Lilybaeum, and a second larger army made up of around 10,000 men was sent directly to North Africa. By 257 BC, the first army reached Lilybaeum, and the city came under siege for the second time. And around the same time, the second army landed near Thapsus. However, Carthage had already known about this army and had assembled two large armies in response, numbering at an impressive 20,000 men, including 90 elephants, which were sent to meet the Roman army at the landing location. Upon seeing the massive Carthaginian army, terror struck the Roman general, and he ordered his men to retreat back into the ships to assess the current situation. Carthage decided to pay the general by recalling the army back to the north. The Roman general, thinking the Carthaginian army was sent to relieve Lilybaeum, decided to disembark and started raiding the countryside of Thapsus. However, the Carthaginian army quickly turned around and caught the Roman army before it could retreat. A large battle ensued, and Carthage emerged victorious, losing 4,600 men and 65 elephants, while the Romans lost 6,700 men. The surviving Romans shattered into the countryside, where they were chased down and destroyed by the Carthaginians. While the African invasion failed, the Sicilian one continued. In 255 BC, the Romans attempted an assault on the city, which had a garrison of 3,400 men, which ended up in success, capturing the city while losing 1,700 men in the process. Carthage would not get a chance to catch its breath, as a new danger came knocking on its western borders without any warning in the shape of an Numidian army numbering 6,000 men in total. Carthage raised whatever forces it could muster and marched to meet this army, managing to catch it before it could reach the capital. In the ensuing battle, Carthage won, losing 1,100 men and 110 elephants, while Numidia lost 2,800 men. The army was quickly reinforced with 6,000 mercenaries and given orders to chase the retreating army and destroy it. The Numidian army was defeated again near Cirta and forced to retreat into the city. Fearing the advancing Carthaginian army, Numidia sent another army numbering around 10,000 troops. The two armies met in 253 BC near the city, and Carthage once more emerged victorious, losing around 3,600 men and 32 elephants, while Numidian losses are unknown. The Numidians retreated into the city as well. However, the remaining troops were not enough to attack the city, and the general had to retreat to rebuild his army. Carthage was also busy dealing with a few minor Roman raids into Africa, which gave Numidia a chance to recover from its defeats. By 251 BC, Numidia had prepared and sent another army that clashed with the experienced Carthaginian army, resulting in yet another defeat for Numidia, losing around 4,200 men, while Carthage lost only 850 men and 14 elephants. The Carthaginian army moved south to invade the lightly defended Sahara regions. The foolish Numidian general followed the army and once more got defeated by the experienced Carthaginian general, losing 2,300 men, while Carthage lost around 900. The army had to retreat back into friendly territory to recover. Both nations spent the next few years raising new armies in preparation for new offensives. In 247 BC, Carthage launched a big offensive in the north and south. The northern offensive started by sending a spearhead numbering around 2,100 men and 60 elephants, which clashed with a Numidian army of 6,000 men. The result was a crushing defeat for Carthage, which lost most of the elephants in the army. Both armies received reinforcements and they clashed once more, resulting in another defeat for Carthage, losing around 3,500 men, while Numidia lost half of that amount. Carthage brought reinforcements from other cities while also gathering mercenaries, and by 246 BC had raised a huge army consisting of around 13,000 troops. The army then met with the Numidian army and decisively defeated it, inflicting around 5,000 casualties while losing around 2,500 men. Meanwhile, in the south, the Carthaginian army was advancing rapidly, defeating a small Numidian army on its way to the city of Dimidi. By 245 BC, the army reached the city, putting it under siege. Around the same time, the northern army also besieged Cirta. At this point, the kingdom of Numidia was in full-blown crisis. It had virtually no armies left in the field to stop the advancing Carthaginian armies. Between constant Spanish raids from the north and Carthaginian attacks from the east, its resources were bled dry, and it seemed like its fall was simply a matter of time. After a failed sally-out attempt at Dimidi in the south and an all-out assault in the north, both Numidian cities fell under Carthaginian control. Carthage spent the next 2 years preparing new armies for a final offensive to end the war. From Cirta, a huge 15,000 strong army marched towards the Numidian capital, while another 4,500 strong army was sent to take the last Numidian city in the south. The northern army met with light resistance on its way, fighting one battle with a much smaller army and crushing it. However, the second army met stiff resistance, facing a 5,000 strong army on its way, and although it ended in a victory, it was a costly victory nonetheless. The defeated army was caught before it could retreat into the city, and was defeated once more with only a few survivors escaping. At around the same time, the main army reached Tingi, and in 238 BC laid siege to it. Meanwhile, the second army was awaiting further reinforcements to arrive. In 236 BC, the reinforcements arrived, and the city was put under siege. After a year-long siege, several failed assaults, and very heavy casualties, the Numidian capital finally fell to the Carthaginians. While Carthage was busy fighting in the east, Rome sent a sneak naval invasion to Sardinia. By 234 BC, Carolus was besieged. Carthage sent few reinforcements to the city, but the Roman army was too strong, and after a few months, the city fell. With no hope of relief left, the garrison at Nept surrendered. With the fall of the Numidian kingdom, the entire western part of North Africa was now under full Carthaginian control, and thus Carthage was finally free to deal with their enemies on other fronts. Will Carthage reclaim what it lost to the Spaniards? Will Carthage go back to the Mediterranean islands it lost to Rome? And what about the Ptolemies in Egypt? Will they remain content in their own territories, or will their ambitions take them to war with Carthage? Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like, comment your opinion, and any suggestions you have for future videos. And if you want to see part 2 of the story in addition to AI only time lapses and campaign time lapses, then hit the subscribe button.